first 5 years, do not look at money. Learn as much as possible, as wide as possible. Bug people around you, wherever you are. Just ask questions, because the only way humans learn is by asking questions.
Hello everyone, my name is Panisha Puri. Welcome back to our channel Zafal, and today we have with us Mr. Vishnupriya, and we'll get to know more about operations and managing things in this episode. So stay tuned to this video. Also, if you have any query or if you want to know about a particular job role or about a particular thing, let me know in the comment section below, so we will create a different video related to that topic. Thank you so much for joining us. Hello, welcome to our chat show. How are you?
Hi, thanks. I'm doing all right.
Tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, your current job, and what are your expertise.
Okay, so my name is Vishnupriya Sharma Thirumale. It's a long South Indian name. I'm an engineer from Bangalore, originally from Bangalore, born and brought up in Bangalore. I'm a management consultant. All my career, I've been a management consultant. So I think I got in to management consulting by chance. I was working with a company. I was trying to get into a company at the time when I completed in 2002. There was the 9/11 happened in the US, and the jobs were very hard to come by. Even for people who had been hired in the campus, they were getting regret letters, our seniors. So it was very difficult for us to kind of, know whether for sure if any interview also will happen or not. And that's the situation that I was when I completed my engineering. And I met a gentleman who offered to take me as his apprentice and kind of an internship. I thought, let me take whatever I get. And that's how I got into management consulting. And after 18 and a half years now, nearly 19 years, I'm still in management consulting. I'm very enthused by it. It's very satisfying at the end of the day when you go to the client location, try to make lives easy for the leaders and also the employees there. That's where there's I get a lot of satisfaction. I'm in Bangalore, and there is this popular saying, at least at that time, it may not be now anymore. I'm talking about 1997, 98. That if you throw a stone, you would either hit an engineer or a software company. So it was a time when engineering was a mainstream choice and perhaps the only choice at that time for most students, and definitely parents also have a role to play in this. Parents and relatives, close relatives, have a role to play in this. So it was definitely, I think, 70% influenced by peers, 30% by choice, because I've seen my cousins grow up and also study engineering. That was there. And of course, at that time, there was no internet the way it is today. So there was information availability about these courses, or talking to people who have done this, who are strangers, was very difficult. So only limited network you had was your cousins or their friends or the neighbors,
If we talk about your first job or your first internship, you started your job as an engineer or a managing consultant?
I was an engineer. I was supporting a consultant. So how I got into that job was also interesting because, like I said, the situation was difficult. And there was this gentleman named Mr. Badri Narayana, who he came to meet somebody who I was, also meeting.
Okay.
So he came there. The person we were both mutually wanting to meet, he was out. So Mr. Narayana and I started talking, and he asked me, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm trying to learn things." I was going to a course on software so that I could not, I need not waste my time at home. So he asked, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm doing this." And he said, "Why are you doing this?" I said, I want to, increase my chances of getting a job. And then he said, what kind of a job are you looking for? And I said, right now I'm a manufacturing science engineer. I studied CAD, CAM and computer automation. So anything that is linked to this. And then he was like, are you up for an internship with me for 3 months? It will be paid. And, there'll be a lot of I can promise you a lot of learning, he said. I was excited because I've been trying to get a job for a few months then. So he said, I said, of course I will be. And he said, on the rate of 1 to 10, how do you rate your ability to learn? I said, I want to say 10, but probably I'll say 8. And then he said, there will be a lot to learn. And I would imagine that your rating of 8, you would live up to it. And he said, that was a Wednesday. So he said, when do you want to start? I said, I can start tomorrow. And then he was like, okay, that's too early for me, but let me come back and try to make it possible for you to start from Monday. So that's how it happened. I just went as support to a managing consultant, and there was no looking back after that.
It was a bit interesting story. People don't join a company or an organization for the learning. They join an organization or an institution or anything just for the money. So would you like to add up on that? Like you choose learning over the money, or how was your experience?
Absolutely. This is a very important learning that I had at a very early stage of my career. And you won't believe when I say, when I had started to work, and we were a group of friends were meeting over a weekend, one of the weekends, and this friend was, treating us in the evening and saying that because he got a hike,
right.
And I remember this specific line that he was in GE, General Electric, and he said that not that he joined for the money, but the money was great there. All right. You know what? He's still in GE as we speak after 18 years. But yeah, that's a different story. So he said that I got this hike, and this much is my hike. And I was like, kept looking at him and I said, look, you know what? Your hike is my salary. How much ever you got that increment, that is my salary. And he was like, he felt sad, I think, because of course we are close friends. And so what I believed in is first 5 years of anyone's career, and that's what I always advise kids who are completing education right now. At this time, first 5 years, do not look at money. Learn as much as possible, as wide as possible. Bug people around you, wherever you are. Just ask questions, because the only way humans learn is by asking questions. You can learn. You can watch YouTube videos. You can read books, but there's nobody for you to ask a question who will answer your question, right?
True.
How much ever it's one way, today maybe there's a lot of one way information flow available much easily and much more and good quality also, I'm sure. But then you will miss out on learning through a dialogue, learning through exploration, and learning through trial. For example, you do a lot of experimentation. You take a thermocol. So I worked with this gentleman who always used to encourage doing experiments using the thermocol, using cardboard box. He used to say, get that Amazon box that we got, let's cut it out and let's try and see if it works on this machine. If this works, then we'll, invest in it. So experimentation and dialogue.
Practical
so first 5 of,
yes.
Yeah, absolutely. First 5 years of your career, just don't look at money, look at only learning. First priority has to be learning. And believe me, if you do a good job at it, after 5 years, 5 years is just a random number, approximately 5 years. After that time, money will follow you. Whether you want it or not, money will choose you, and it will you will start in the increments, the jumps, etc. will be huge. All right. So prioritizing learning is what I would strongly advocate for students who are completing any education, and give up for 5 years the dream, because that is also the time for you to learn.
Yes,
and build your skills, build your career, build your capabilities. Yeah, but if you are compromising on learning over pay, it may be good for the short term, but in the long term, it may not necessarily be a very good thing for you. Yeah. The bad thing was, I think, one of the first things, it was a 6-day working. All my friends were partying on Friday night. I was working all of Saturday. That was not necessarily a great feeling to have. But then anyway, that's now if I see, that's just a small price to pay. The good thing was, if I have to add another bad thing, the bad thing was you had to do everything, at least in the kind of work that I chose, which may not be true for every company and every industry. The consulting work that I chose to support this gentleman, I had to do everything end to end. All right. And there was no, so he used to visit, about once in 2 weeks, and I used to be there full time. So between his visits, I had to complete a certain set of tasks and a lot of interaction with people and all of these. So there was a lot of work, huge, and I had no support. I think the right word is resourceless. So I was feeling resourceless in the beginning. Maybe the nature of job and the contract was that. Now no complaints, but at that time I used to feel bad. The good thing about it is there is, the cutting edge knowledge. So we were implementing something called lean manufacturing, which I have developed into one of my core competencies now. So lean, I used to implement techniques in lean manufacturing, which is actually, if you look at it, it's just common sense. How we can order material. So I used to work in a factory that made cabins, operator cabins for these earth moving equipment. Okay, you see those JCBs, and the person is sitting inside the JCB, right? The house in which he is sitting and operating, surrounded by glass, that is what they used to make, the factory used to make. So
what is your role in this? What do you do?
Then? Yeah. So in the factory was doing this, right?
Right.
How can we make the factory who's doing these cabins, do the same more efficiently? Okay, do the same thing that they're doing. Let's say if they were doing, 4 of this in a shift, in 8-hour shift, is there a way for us to help them to make in the same 8-hour shift 6 units instead of 4? Okay, with the same manpower, and so that means they're getting more profit, right? So and how do we do that?
Strategize that, or how you increase the efficiency? You need to strategize all these things.
Yes. So we go and study first. I went and studied there, saying, how does this material come there? How much time in 8 hours does each welding takes, each fabrication takes, each machine shop guys takes, and paint shop, and all of these. So you study there what is the current way of doing things, and you just use simple common sense and say, which of these can be speeded up,
Right.
And if I have to give you a very, very simple example, let's say there's a nut and bolt, right?
Right.
There is a nut here. There is a nut and bolt. If that particular sized nut is not available, a person used to go all the way to the manufacturing shop floor, get that nut manufactured then and there, and then come back to the fabrication. And so, all this while an hour of time is gone. The welder has wasted 1 hour only because that nut was not available in the fabrication shop at the time of need. Okay. So this happened. I'm just saying one of these examples, many things like this happened. Right. So what we can do is we can make sure for next week, I need this many nuts, right? So I go and I give an order in advance to the shop floor and say, these are the things I need and this much quantity for next week. And I can tell them 1 week earlier. Okay. So they will already manufacture, and then they will store it, keep it they'll give it to you so that you can keep it in the place that is close to the point of use. And then you don't waste that 1 hour in going and searching for it. So if you increase the efficiency, what happens is, you're right, because in some of these increasing efficiency, you need to have investments. You need to either have, new fixtures, new racks to store the tools and all of these, right? So we always look at an ROI, what is the return of investment? We look at the cost of manufacturing. We look at the cost of, so for example, I always it's always easy for me to calculate if I'm increasing the number of pieces I make in a day or a shift, then the amount I have to invest in order to deliver the increased output, then that would be very less. So we do a concept called return on investment and what is the cost benefit analysis. So for everything, definitely this doesn't work at home, but this only works in a factory or an organization. What is the cost benefit analysis? If I'm proposing a solution, what is the return I'm going to get in order for the investments I'm going to make? This is how you know, and if it is not working out, then you will know there is no cost benefit. So you don't go ahead with the solution. I was struggling, like I said earlier, I had to do end-to-end. There was nobody in the company, in the client location that knew these things or have worked with these things. So for example, there's a concept called Kanban. The part about machine shop manufacturing what you need in advance and making sure it is available. This, in a very, very simplistic term, describes a methodology called Kanban. Okay, K-A-N-B-A-N. Kanban is a Japanese technology for making sure parts are available.
Okay.
So Badri Narayana came and told me that you implement Kanban. I said, what is it? He said, look it up, and he gave me 3-4 books. All of them like high quality. You won't get it normally at that time. There was no Amazon or things like that. So he said, you read and you implement. That's how you, and he also said this, that's how you will learn. Otherwise you will not learn. I said, okay. So I poured into those books. I tried this, I tried implementing. I ran over, my pilots or samples with him on the phone. And yeah, so that's how I learned. And that's what was my source of knowledge also, books. I'm happy that today's kids will have a lot more, sources of information.
So one should focus on reading more to improve their skills a better, and it usually happens when a student get into any job or in any internship. There is no learning, and they have to do all their things by their own. So they can learn by observing other people, or maybe probably they can use books to read more to get an idea about things that should be done. So next thing I would like to ask you, like after your 3 months of internship, what was your first job? What was your first experience at job?
So same company. I asked at the end of the internship, I asked for, I asked if there was an internship certificate he's going to give. Mr. Badri Narayana said, why don't you do one thing? You come, there's a group of consultants. I'll introduce you to them. You can present what you have done there. And when I went there, I was also offered a full-time job in the same company. And so that's how it worked. I joined the same company. I was there for 7.5 years. It started with the heavy engineering manufacturer that I was supporting. I was there for a couple of years, and then started to work with many other companies.
Great.
I think that's how the journey began. First job, and then, yeah.
So what do you think, one should stick to an organization for a longer period of time, or they need to switch?
So this is dicey. At that time, I would say sticking for more than 4 years would have made a lot of sense, because early on in your career, even today, I can say this, at least 3 years if you're sticking to an organization, even it's a minimum is 3. I would even say you can go on to 6, or, because that's how you will learn, and that's how there's growth, and you'll be able to pick up growth and demonstrate growth also. But if anyone today sees a CV with 7 years experience and 4 companies in it, that's not a very good sign. So you need to build your career, build your CV. It shows. If you're switching too often, it shows. Once or twice is okay. So my advice to freshers is to try to pick a company that you like to work with and stay there for like 3 to 5 years, and then switch. But then there's no need for you to switch. I mean, there's no rule that you have to switch.
Yes.
It will evolve as you grow in the company. It will evolve. If you have a chance, if the individual has a chance, how would I select which company to work for, right?
Right.
It didn't work for me, but I would definitely, if I have to go back and do this, I would always say that take the company that is like gives you the widest exposure. True. And is the biggest in terms of like MNC, or gives you a very high starting package, or big in terms of in the top 10 in the world, or I don't know, whatever you have. So you have your 5 options or 3 options.
There are like a lot of people out there, they do have that question like when to switch and why to switch. And also there is a question like how to choose an organization if my current organization is offering well, and what are the factors contributing to stay in an organization or not to stay. What do you think?
So interestingly, at least in my experience and what I have learned, is you don't change an organization because you want to. I mean, the reason you switch is mostly because of a discomfort in your current organization. Either, you're having problems because of some system or some policies, or you're unhappy, it's causing you trouble. I think there was a Steve Jobs speech that said, you look at yourself in the mirror every day before you start, and if you feel that you don't feel energetic to go to work, then that's a sign that you have to switch. The reason for switching is never, I want to switch, or not never, but very less, but mostly due to current circumstances. Either the people you're working with or the systems are not helping you anymore the way it did, or the company can't give you enough opportunities for growth, for example. So things like, if I have an opportunity to work in a different organization that also helps me to travel, for example, travel around the world, then that's something that I would select, or so things like these.
So I would like to put you in a fix, and I would like to give you a situation, and you can answer according to your experience and your expertise, like
Sure.
how you would like to answer. So for example, I love my job, and I love to stay in a job, and I am comfortable with the environment as well. But I got an opportunity from a big brand, and I wanted to switch to that organization. But now I don't have any problem with the current organization, but I am looking forward to a new organization, and the job role which I am getting, I don't have that experience. So should I switch or should I stick to the organization? What should I do?
No, so I faced this in my career about 5-6 times. I would not switch, because if I'm comfortable in my current environment, however big, for example, I was in my earlier company, not immediate earlier company, but it was in a consulting firm that was based in Bombay, and there were a couple of offers that landed straight from the people who I used to work with, and one of them was in Australia, and one of them was in America, the US, and so I was happy with what I had. I had a great boss, good supporting colleagues, and understanding leaders in the company. So I had no reason to switch. I declined it. So there is this English adage that goes, known devil is better than an unknown angel, right? So you don't know what you're getting into, and it's going to be very dicey once you switch and you go there, a different company. I'm not even saying another country, even in the same city. If you get another job, you don't know how the environment is. It may look like it is lucrative at the beginning, but unless and until you're very sure of what you're getting into, it's not a wise decision to switch. Because I would not. You're asking me, right? So I would not switch. Yeah.
So you are into managing consultancy for over like 7 years in an organization. How you develop those skills, and what are the skills that required?
So the skills that required in management consulting is, I think, to have a passion for assuming and thinking that whatever is the status quo can be different. Things can be different, not just accept things as status quo. Status quo is always the best known solution as of today. Okay, this is the best known solution, and there can be better, something better than this. That is the first principle for any management consultant to assume. Don't just assume that whatever you're seeing is the best. I mean, be open to the idea that something better can be there. Even after I implement a solution, it could be possible that there can be something better than what we have recommended or we have implemented. That's how it is. So, so first is that's having an open mind to believe that something better can be possible. The second one is it's very, very important to understand the importance of drawing insights from data. How you interpret data, information, facts, how you interpret facts, how you interpret data is very, very important. And the skill you need to develop if you're in management consulting is to develop a data interpretation skill, collecting data, collecting facts, working with it, and how we can interpret it. That's very, very important. And then, so these are the two primary things. Communication is, of course, important in any job.
People wanted to, find a shortcut for everything. Like there is a quote like, you should believe in smart work, not do the hard work. So how you relate to that? Like we should do the hard work or we should not? Because I believe that there is always a hard work and a smart work that goes hand in hand.
Yeah. How do you know that what I'm doing is smart work or not? How do I know beforehand that this is smart work or hard work?
Right.
First time when I'm doing, I will not know. Nobody knows first time. But only when the second time you're doing, you will know that there is a smarter way to do this. For example, first time I make tea, I will not know. First time in my life I'm making tea. I don't know if there's a right way to make tea or if there is a better way to make tea. That's the hard work part. Right. Only when you do the hard work the first time around, you will know that there is a smarter way to do these things. So hard work always comes. It's always a linear scale. So first is hard work. You have to do that. And only then you'll be able to do a smart work. Okay. So people who are aware of a smarter way of work, if they look at you doing hard work, then they may say that this is not, a smart way of work. But that is also because they have done that already and they know that. There is this habit of mine to just observe people. I used to do that a lot earlier, how they go about things. For example, in one of the client's locations, I saw that this person was managing thousands of rows of Excel and did not one time use the mouse, was only using keyboard. Okay. And I also saw, for example, if I have to talk about Microsoft Excel. So I learned then that keyboard shortcuts, for example, is a smart way to work with Excel. If I have to do a process, so the only way to do this, perhaps to develop, understand a smarter way to do is to go through it first, like I said, and second is by observing. You observe if others are doing it, how are they doing it, and then you look up for hacks. There are a lot of websites that gives you hacks to do things better and easier.
You have given 7 years to an organization. What was the time you decided that you wanted to switch?
After 7.5 years in that company, I realized that I felt that my skills could be used at a wider scope, I guess, larger number of organizations, and perhaps have a more global reach than what I already was delivering. So that kind of prompted me to look out for a change. Also, somehow I got referred by somebody, and I got a call from this company who said, I got your CV and we want to talk to you. So that also how it happened. So I did not actively apply this company. 2-3 things happened simultaneously.
For example, I wanted to apply to an organization, how I can crack that interview.
Right. So I think this is today you have amazing amount of opportunity to prepare for an interview. you obviously one will look at LinkedIn and look at the people, but as long as you know the job description or the responsibilities for the job that you're applying, it's important for you to like pick out the key elements and key themes of it. And you go to, I mean, I would, for example, I would go to YouTube and look at as many videos as possible, on that topic. Look at the news, latest Google News, the last 1 month maybe, or six or last 1 week. What are the happenings or that are reported? For example, if I'm talking about a pharmaceutical R&D, I would look at what patents are applied, what kind of new pharmaceutical R&D methods have got granted or approved by a regulatory body and things like that. So YouTube is one. Very few people go there. News is one. You go to discussion forums on various platforms wherein people actually talk about it and challenges, and I think that's going to be huge information. And nothing can replace. These are the three as of today, but earlier, nothing can replace talking to somebody who is a senior to you or who has worked in that area. Talk to them, ask questions, yeah, so that is what gives you a great sense of preparation. I think talking to people who have been in that field and done that work, if they work in the same organization, that will be even better.
Great suggestions. Talking about your current job profile that you're working at in operations as well. So, what are the challenges?
Yeah, so if I have to take my career, I was 7.5 years in one firm, and then I moved to a company in Bombay. That was I was there for like 6 years approximately. Then I moved to another company, and then I was there for 4 years. This is my fourth company in my 18 years, right? Almost all of these places, the work I do has been similar in terms of operations, in terms of problem solving, innovation. There's technology called Lean, as like I said, Lean and Six Sigma. It's more of a thinking process and a problem solving methodology. The challenges are many. I mean, you can, as long as you're passionate about consulting, some of these challenges look small. Okay. The challenges include, definitely you'll be away from home. You'll be away from your family for a significant part of the month, and that's not necessarily a great thing. You have to live out of a suitcase. You don't have the same comforts that you have in a city, let's say. I'm not even saying at home, at a large city, because some of these locations are remote. You will have to find different ways of keeping you entertained and also keeping you in good humor. Not lose your patience every now and then for things that you can't get done in that location or that city. Some of the challenges at work would be each company have a different set of people wading through the culture, especially I'm talking now specifically only about management consulting. The challenges in management consulting, at least from the operations point of view, is to work through the culture of the company, get through to the people. How you reach out and get through to the people, how fast you can get through to the people, that is what is a factor of contributing to your success. If you're not able to get through to the people, then you will not be able to deliver results as per the top management's expectation. That's what I think.
How you stay positive all the time, like how you manage to stay positive. What is your mantra?
Okay, that's something that I've not asked myself so far, but I try to read. I think that keeps me occupied. But definitely, yes. So I have, I listen to music, and as soon as I come home from work, I try to listen to a set of a playlist that I have, and that puts me in a good mood, I guess.
Usually people used to, or student used to ask, like, there are some conflicts some other day with our colleague or with our manager, with our boss. There is always a bad day in everyone's life. So how you cope with this? Like how you, if there is a story or you had a bad day where you got a clash with your colleague or with your manager, and how you just get out of that thought, if you have it.
Yeah, no, there definitely are bad days. I will tell one of my experience perhaps. Um, okay, so first of all, bad days are important. You have to have bad days. If you don't have bad days, you will never be able to appreciate a good day or even a neutral day. Okay, the goal is not to have a great day. The goal is to have a normal day. Okay, that's very difficult to achieve. It's not possible for you to have a back-to-back no news day. You wake up, you go to your factory, you go to the company or the organization that you go to, do your work normally. I mean, no surprises, no escalations, nobody shouting at you. You're not shouting at anybody, and then you come back in the evening, have your dinner. So no news day. That is most difficult, and that is what I would target. All right, but a bad day is very important, because if you don't have a bad day, you'll never appreciate a no news day or a routine day. Okay. So for example, bad days, how can I say? So I think many days to pick for me in my long career, I think 18 years, a huge number of bad days, and I'm happy about it now. If I think there was an escalation from a client, and uh, I did not have the patience perhaps to sit through, and maybe I wanted things to move faster than it was going. Maybe that's the root cause of the bad day if I think about it now. But there was a bad conversation. There was a clash, like you said earlier. There was a clash, and I think my tendency is to just stay silent and be with myself. If I get a chance to go to an open area, I'll do that, and just plug into my headphones and listen to music perhaps. I'll definitely make sure not to talk to anyone that day. Yeah, so that's how I cope up with it, I think.
One last question I would like to ask you, like, what is your mantra to get ahead in your career?
So to get ahead in your career, I think there is a certain set of things that you are entrusted to deliver. Okay, every organization has its own method of um, helping you to get ahead, if I can say. Okay, so if you achieve what is entrusted of you um, in a fairly reasonable way, I'm not saying you should like overachieve or anything, which is some people do overachieve, but that's not what we're getting into. We're talking about whatever is the key deliverables expected of you to achieve. And if you do achieve in a reasonable manner and with reasonable outcomes, then I think the system should take care of it. I'm not saying it will take care like 100% of the time. I would say about 80% of the time it will. Okay. And the 20% of the time it doesn't. And if it repeats, like system doesn't honor your effort and your outcomes and the successes that you count as successes, okay, then that's also perhaps an indication that either your own benchmarks internally has to change, the bar has to raise, or it can also be that you need to relook at how you're looking at things, and switching may not be a bad option at that time. So these are some of the things that I would say about this. Yeah.
And also, I think like one should always compete with themselves rather than competing with others. It's also a good saying.
That's right. That's right. Competing with others is also not a bad thing. See, competing with others is important because that's what gets you to, pushes you to deliver better. But that competition should not be at the cost of, others, in the sense that you definitely have a competition with your colleagues in a way that inspires both of you. All right. So if my peer, if my colleague, if my peer delivers better, I would definitely want to sit up and notice and congratulate, and I would definitely be inspired by it. Now, why only my peer? Even if any of the people who are younger than me and have achieved something that I have not seen or have not achieved, I would definitely like to take a leaf out of their life and try to implement it. So that's more important. So competing with others is not necessarily a bad thing. And as long as it inspires both of you, you should not be leaving either of you in this taste. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your experience and expertise with us. It might be helpful for many students who are watching our show.
I hope so. Thank you so much, Panisha.
Thank you.